Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of DLC. I'm your host today, Joey from the Game Club podcast, and we're going to dive into some dark corners of indie gaming horror, an experimental title, and a game that's meant to give us goosebumps for better or for worse. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to thank our friends over at Game.Press and the developers of the game WeForge Studio for the free copy we received of Macabre, the multiplayer co-op PvE extraction thing. So, let's dive into the episode. So, Macabre is a multiplayer horror experience that's been floating around on Steam Early Access for the last couple of weeks. It promises an atmospheric, tension-filled survival game where you and your friends go and explore a hauntingly large map while avoiding a terrifying creature. First things first, it looks great. Visually, Macabre nails the tone. You've got that misty, overgrown, abandoned forest vibe, broken down structures, lighting that perfectly walks the line between spooky and cinematic. From the start, you can tell the devs had an eye for the presentation of the game that they wanted to produce. But, and this is a big but, once you start playing, that beautiful world starts to feel just a little bit too empty. Let's start with what Macabre does right. Like I said, the visuals are great. The sound design is fantastic. There's a really cold loneliness to the world, and that sets the mood perfectly. The ambient audio, distant rustling, crack of branches, the low hum of dread, it's all really well done. The character animations are pretty solid, and when the monster actually shows up, it's got this design that's really creepy, distorted, and it feels off in a way that works perfectly for the game. If you're watching someone stream it or just hopping on with no expectations, your first 20 minutes are genuinely gripping. It's like you're going to uncover something special. But then, that initial shine fades. Macabre starts to reveal its biggest weakness: the gameplay loop. The map is huge. Massive, actually. And at first, that sounds awesome. More space, more tension, more exploration, right? Except it's mostly empty. You'll spend long stretches of time just walking. No scares, no meaningful objectives, just distance. And when you're trying to find something, a structure or a landmark, it feels cool for a minute, but there's rarely a strong sense of purpose when you do find it. It's almost like this game was built in a gorgeous sandbox, and then it forgot to fill it with toys. Macabre really leans on its multiplayer experience. It's meant to be played with friends. So we did exactly that. We jumped on as a 3-person squad with me, Alex and Tim, ready for chaos. And here's where things got strange. After a little while of trying to work out what we were meant to do, we split up. Something horror games sometimes encourage. And we realised something really odd. Between the three of us on this enormous map, there's only one monster. Meaning that while one person was being hunted, the other two were just basically hanging out in the woods completely safe. Instead of everyone sharing that tension, the fear was unevenly distributed. One player got terrorized by a monster that's very easy to loop around and you get knocked over by. It's really easy to occupy the monster for a very long amount of time. And that really kills the suspense. You can imagine it. You've got one of your friends screaming over Discord while the other of you are just collecting items and wandering around, wondering if anything's actually going to happen. The problem here ties back into pacing. Good horror, especially multiplayer horror, thrives on uncertainty and shared vulnerability. Games like Phasmophobia, Lethal Company, or The Forest make you feel like danger is always around the corner, even when it's not. Macabre, on the other hand, still feels like it's figuring that out. The tension never quite sustains itself. The map always feels like it was designed for a game with much more activity, more threats, more objects, more life. But instead, it feels like a skeleton waiting for the flesh to be built around the bones. So what you're technically playing ends up feeling more like a beta test, not the full early access experience. Performance-wise though, Macabre runs pretty decently. We didn't encounter any crashes or bugs, though some animations and lighting effects felt a little bit unpolished. This is normal for early access though. But again, it felt more unfinished than in development. You know when some early access titles feel tight and playable with a really clear roadmap? Macabre still feels like it's building that roadmap. Like the devs had a really good idea and this amazing concept and then stopped halfway through. The potential is here, no question, but right now, I don't feel like it's living up to it. So my final thoughts. Macabre is a game with loads of promise. It looks beautiful, it sounds terrifying. But beyond that, there's not too much to sink your teeth into. Yet. The map is big. Probably too big for the content that currently exists. The monster mechanic probably needs some rethinking to make multiplayer actually scary for everyone. And overall, it feels like something you'd expect to play in a closed alpha, not something being sold as a public early access title. That being said, if the devs expanded the map with meaningful objectives and more creatures or random events and tightened the pacing, Macabre would be a really fun game that I will go back to. It's got the great bones of a horror experience, it just needs the flesh, the blood and the soul. So that's my look at Macabre. Great visuals, haunting atmosphere, but right now, too empty to be truly engaging. Thank you very much for stopping by for DLC today. I've been Joey Fitz. Thanks again to our friends over at Game Press and WeForge Studio for the review copy. I look forward to hearing what you think of Macabre. Follow us on all social media platforms at Game Club Pod and join our Discord where you can join in the conversation on our episodes. As I said, I've been Joey, this has been DLC, and I'll see you next time.